are in listen-only mode.
Hey, and welcome, Chiefs. This is Brian McLeod, and you are in the right place for the first of our ongoing live Q&A sessions for Copy Chief. I'm joined here with the Chief himself, Kev. It's our first Q&A.
Exciting, man. This is going to be great. And really digging this because it gives us a chance to dig a little bit deeper into some of the threads and, review some things that people might have missed. Plus, do what we all do best, which is chat and share ideas and what we learned over the month. So this is going to be really great.
Yeah, can everybody just give us a quick check? Since we've just got the browser open this time, I want to make sure you can see the screen, that you should be at the members area within Copy Chief, and that you can hear us fine. And as soon as we get yes, check loud and clear, all good. Thank you very much. No need for more.
Hear you and see you.
What's that?
Chris says, hear you and see you.
Excellent. Well,
good. Should have wore pants.
I should have wore pants, right, exactly. So should Dr. Rosen something. Anyway, we've got some great guests here that we're glad to see hanging out with us tonight, and we won't name drop, but there's some great people in the crowd. Thank you and welcome. And this is a much looser, session this time and ongoing, because we've realized that the questions in the Q&A is where a lot of the gold gets dug up in our time together. So why not just do more of that, right? We can always do specialized trainings whenever we need to.
Right.
But let's really dig into the gold together as a community. I think that's the most useful stuff for everybody. I think everybody has the most fun that way. So we're going to give it a shot tonight or this afternoon, and see what everybody thinks about the new format. Feel free to go ahead and type into the questions box along the way to comment and to participate in the process. If you have a microphone or a headset and you'd like to join us and actually get on air with us here, just raise your hand. There's a little hand icon in your control panel on the right side of your screen, which indicates to us that you'd like to come on and speak. And somebody just tested it. Yes, it works. We will see it, and if we don't get to you right away, don't freak out. We're not ignoring you. We're just trying to do what we got to do. So definitely let us know if you'd like to come on. We will call to you, and we're going to do a Q&A at the end, just like always. But Kev, I'm going to throw to you so you can go through some of these amazing threads this week. We've had some really great threads that have fired up here inside Copy Chief.
Yeah, man. So sort of a little bit of a recap, and dig a little deeper on a couple of these. So one of the coolest ones was how to be more productive. Thought that was a great sort of group mind share sort of call to action for us all, everybody who participated. This was brought on by that feeling that we all get, that I certainly had, of, man, I know I'm working my ass off. Why aren't more things getting done? For me, I knew I was getting a lot done, but I knew it felt like I'm impatient for one thing, and for two, I just knew other people seem to have a lot more free time than I do. I just never felt finished, right? And James Schramko is my business coach, and the guy surfs every single day. I've been in this world. I know that it's not just, he's not just purporting this lifestyle. It's real. And I wanted to figure out, what's the deal? So I brought it up to James, and he said, do a task audit, and instructed me to just write down everything I do in a day, and just sort of observe what it is I'm doing and how I can be more effective and more efficient. So I did that, and it was very eye-opening for me and a lot of the other chiefs who did this. And a lot of us use the 4x6 cards, which I love. They fit right in your pocket. And it's great just to have them handy, and it's easy just to write down. I wanted to avoid technology, Brian. Like, I didn't want to use an app. There's a million apps for productivity and to log everything in your life, but every time I go to, log in and record a task, I end up somewhere I shouldn't be, and I'm distracted, and there went another 15 minutes. Now I got a log that I just wasted 15 minutes. So kept it simple, and it was cool. The big takeaways for me were, looking back over the week, were seeing the patterns of how my day goes and how my week went. I noticed that, Mondays are really productive. I'm very fired up, sort of refreshed from the weekend, and get a lot done on Mondays. And as the week goes on, I realize, it's easier to have your week filled up by things of not your choosing, clients that need to get on the phone and all these things that you end up scheduling. So I've started specifically blocking out times and even days where I have to do certain things. For instance, my podcast, which we're getting ready to launch finally here in June, I really needed to rack up some episodes. And so I just blocked off Thursdays and tried to keep it exclusively for nothing but recording. And so that's been really helpful for me. And I noticed that
Yeah, and you're serious about it too, Kev. I mean, that's for real. I can attest because I've tried to sneak in on the Thursday calendar and gone, all right, dude, why don't we talk? No, I gotta reserve it for podcast.
Well,
you gotta do it.
What I did was I realized, when you have to be somewhere like a doctor visit or something, right? You're just sitting there, and all entrepreneurs probably have this where we're always so busy and running around. And then you get somewhere like a doctor's office and you end up having to wait 20 minutes and you're sitting there going, oh, this is nice. I literally can't do much right now. I'm just kind of stuck here. And it's nice to just relax and clear my head for a minute. And I thought, well, what if there was a day, where I had to be away? That would be the same thing. I just wouldn't be available. So I just blacked out a day. And it's been working about 85%. Sometimes you just have no choice. But
so what you're saying is you told me no, but you told someone else yes? I want to know who that is.
Yeah.
When we're done, I want their name.
It's somebody who paid me at least $25K.
Oh, okay, then that's cool. That's fine. Then all good.
But there's still a price to my freedom.
I understand. Yeah, right. He can still be bought, people.
I'm living the lifestyle. Yeah, right. Yes, sir. I'll be there. I'll see you there. So anyway, it was really cool. If you haven't checked out this thread, and if you ever feel, a little overwhelmed, and like what am I really getting done? I highly recommend doing a task audit like this. And the first time you're not judging as you go, but what's interesting is you will adjust as you go and sort of automatically reprioritize, how you're spending your time. For one thing, like knowing you're going to have to write down everything you do keeps you from, wasting time. And the other thing I took from this, Brian, is that I'm definitely going to time my tasks going forward.
Dude, that you tightened it up really, really well as I watched your cards take form. You kept it tight and stuck to it, right? I mean, it's clearly a very rigid thing, which is exactly what we need sometimes, which is no room for no buffers, no marshmallow padding anywhere. You literally need to see where you are spending your time and or budget where you are spending your time specifically.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you a question so we don't forget, because I think this is crucial. There's a distinction here between like your plan and your reality.
Oh, yeah.
In the audit. Can you talk about that for a minute to make sure we get that covered for everybody?
Yeah, it's a good question. So what I decided to do was use two cards. So I start with a plan card. And so I list out, here's what I know I have to do today. So here's what I go to my calendar. I go, here's what's scheduled. I have, 3 calls this afternoon. I know I'm going to be at the gym at 9 a.m. And then I have a little column next to that where I write added, because like we said, things come up, and I want to know, what's the pattern? How often are things coming up, and how often could I better organize those things? And then below that, I have basically a to-do list, things I know I have to get done. And then the reality card is simply just me logging what I actually do.
Yeah, right. And I think that's where a lot of people get a little freaked out, because this is where the truth pops out. Our stories get fractured pretty easily here. Your eggs get cracked, and you got to look at the mess you've made. You know what I mean?
That's the truth. And I realize is that, man, I am doing a lot. I was just forgetting half the stuff I did because I have a bad habit of just ticking things off. Like, you ever get I'm sure all entrepreneurs can relate to this, where I could literally open my laptop at 7 a.m. and sit there unfed, unwashed, until 6 p.m. at night and never stop for a minute. Like there would be
Right.
plenty coming at me, plenty to react to, and that would not be at all helpful to me or us or my business or my family. But I could easily do it, as I'm sure every entrepreneur here could. And that doesn't.
Some are shaking their head in shame right now. How many? Go ahead and type in the chat box if you, like me, are cringing a little bit as Kevin describes too many of your days as a thing that we should not be doing. Go ahead and be honest. It's cool. I mean, we're all friends here. This is the point of us doing it. But I find that that's often the way the days escape me. As you look up and it's 6 o'clock and you're like, what the hell happened to my day?
Yeah.
I started off with a plan that resembles not at all what today turned into.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a good exercise, and I think everybody who did it seemed to find it helpful, and everybody who hasn't should really take it on. And again, it's not even about, oh, I gotta like reset my life or scold yourself or I did it. It helped for me to have someone to report to. Like James and I are going to have a call this week coming up and sort of review it. But for James, he's looking at it more like, I'm sure there's things you're doing that you just shouldn't be. I have a VA. I have some people helping me. And so, how much more wisely could I be using that help? Because, Brian, it's funny, when we first get into this business, we have all this white space, right? Because we're just trying to get clients and, we're doing more learning and sort of socializing than we are working. And then it flips on us. And we have all these deadlines and all these responsibilities, and we go, man, I just wish.
All the networking and everything else you had before, all the stream of people coming to you. Hey, dude. Hey, quick question. Hey, man. Can I pick your brain for a second? Hey, dude. You're the guy to ask.
Right.
Hey, man. Hey, man. I get a nonstop flow of hey, mans.
Hey, man.
Which is great. Look, because I've made you and I made friends in this business, Kev.
Yeah.
You're one of my best friends in the world. We hooked up through this wacky world of marketing and the internet and copywriting. And, some of my favorite human relationships have come out of hey, mans. So It's good to cultivate that, but it will steal your life like energy vampires.
Yeah, that's a thing.
People don't mean to be. They're only looking for a small slice of you, but in aggregate, that's a huge chunk of you that disappears, if you're not in control of it. That's one of the reasons why I believe you cannot be a slave to a ringing phone or a dinging email box. It frustrates people to no end that they can't private message me on Facebook and get an instant reply because I've turned all that shit off.
Yeah.
Specifically for that reason.
I'll give you credit. Like, I hate the fact that Skype is on, but usually there's a couple people who sort of ping me regularly. And I've just gotten better at email's obviously the big killer. The truest thing I've ever heard about email is it's the to-do list that other people get to prioritize for you, right?
Oh God, yeah, that's great. Where'd you get it? Who came up with
I can't remember who. James says it all the time. I want to say Mike Bouchard may be the one who said that first, but it's so true. And it makes you go, I'm not checking this in the morning. I am not going to, before my eyes have even cleared from sleep, gaze into my email to see who needs me, right? Nothing is that important. And one of the big takeaways for me in this was, all right, I'm going to force myself to not check email until after the gym, which is like 11 a.m. or noon. And the scary thing about that is because we want to believe we're so important that something could break or some bad thing could happen. But guess what? If you allow that bad thing to happen, then you'll come up with a solution to make sure it doesn't happen. But if you try to, it's like raising a child, Brian, right? It's like if you keep your kid in a bubble, never let him scrape his knee, the first time he gets a bump in college or something, he's gonna
crisis.
Yeah, he's gonna lose his mind. So you gotta parent your life and your priorities and realize, all right, let's find out what will break, and then how do we keep it from breaking? And that way.
Now, Kev, you've been my accountability partner for years, and every year we had for a long time that New Year's call that we would do with each other's, right?
Yes.
And beginning of the year, and then we'd sort of try and go, okay, how are we going to shape this year for ourselves? And one of the ones that to me was the most significant of all our time doing that was the year, I don't know when it was, a couple of years ago, when you said you got to be more selfish.
Yeah.
Because you're wired the other way. You love helping people solve problems and just you're the man, you did it, and I feed off of that. And you're right. But I did have to flip my whole polarity on that and focus my attention and my priorities on mine, because you're right. I mean, it's just my gripe all year had been how busy and hectic things were. Well, cut that shit out. Be more selfish. Be more selective. Work on you first. And it's incredibly valuable when you're ready to hear that, right? It may not be the right time for everybody, but when it's time for you, that is a big paradigm shift in your business and in your time freedom. And I had forgotten it. I mean, these were things that obviously we all kind of know already. It's just important to be reminded at the right time about the right stuff, and then you're like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And that's how that moment was for me. I was like, damn, Rogers, you're right. I am. And I did. I cut a lot of people, a lot of clients out of the picture that were energy vampires and things that weren't what I wanted. Yeah. They were what they wanted. Right. And so it's great that I'm helping them ongoing for forever, but what have you done for me lately, Janet Jackson? You know what I mean? That was the filter that I had to put to it. And boy, I took some heat. Let me tell you, a couple clients were not happy when their teddy bear got taken away. Garf, there was one particular guy who was a real pain in the ass about me separating, and Garf used to say, I want my teddy bear. I want my teddy bear. And that is what that relationship can be like. So expect that some of those people who are not serving you aren't going to go quietly in the night. Right. And if you're a pleaser like me, it's hard to make people go away that need to go away when you're not the greatest guy in the world for taking away their teddy bear. It's a tough nut to crack, but we're talking productivity. If you want to claim yours back, there are sometimes certain situations that you have to remove yourself from, and it's just not pleasant. It's not the happy part of your business, but it's the important part. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that, Kev. That was a huge mental shift, bro.
Good. Yeah. Well, hey, it's true. I still have to remind you every once in a while. but you remind me of lots of things too. And hey, I love that about you, and it's part of why you're so popular in this business. And everybody loves Brian. But it was
I'm like Raymond.
You were like Raymond, but it was eating you up a little bit. So, okay, let's move on to the next thread. This is pretty cool. This is the Dean Jackson Mosquito Postcard thread. We always love a case study here in Copy Chief.
Yeah.
And so it was cool of Dean to pop in. And what's interesting to me about how this thread progressed was, I think it started, Dean was sort of proud of this postcard because it was cool and fun. And he and I texted a little bit back and forth about this postcard. And so I think he wanted to show off a cool postcard that he had fun making. But what I love is, and by the way, I recorded a podcast with Dean yesterday about this postcard series, and we talked about how this first one you're seeing on the screen here, tested, and it's one of 3 styles, and it was successful. It was profitable, and a lot of marketers would stop there. But what I love, one of the things I love about Dean is that the guy couldn't be any higher atop the food chain of marketing, yet he's always pushing different concepts. He tests different concepts. A lot of marketers would have just patted themselves on the back and said, look at this fun, cool little postcard I made. Oh, and it's making money. Brag, brag, brag. Move on to the next thing. Dean said, I like this one. Let's see 2 other concepts and see how they did. And this was not even close to being the most profitable, although it was profitable. So if you scroll down, and some chiefs gave some cool feedback and ideas. So then the second concept was this one, which was a little more direct. You just got your yellow, your red. Scroll out before this one, Brian, because that's the final one. Okay, so then you have these 2. The Eating Alive series, and the appeal here was basically having a mosquito-free yard, so your guests and your kids wouldn't be smacking the mosquitoes off of them. And so this did a little better because it, obviously resonates with the conversation people are having. But the winner was the one below this, which I think Max and Ross both, or Alvin, both predicted would be the winner correctly. And this is great. We had a great conversation in the podcast, which will be released here soon. The Truth About Marketing podcast. Yeah. And so just look at this headline. If you or someone has been bitten by a mosquito in the last 30 days, read this. And, spend a little minute with this postcard later in this thread and really read what Dean was up to. And again, we covered this in the podcast, and just amazing to get Dean's insights on this. He's the king of, incredibly powerful short copy. I mean, think about how limited his word count was here, and look how much he did with it. And
because there's not that much to say when you're saying the right thing, you know what I mean? There just isn't. There's the attention, there's the facts that are necessary, and then what to do. But he nails that really, really well. Always has.
Right, but how often will you see this overwritten? Right. This is the problem with unlimited digital space to type on in the modern marketing world. Is somebody go, well, it's free. Let's just fill it all in. Let's make this into
room.
A 12-page. Are you tired of being bitten by mosquitoes? Do you fear malaria? No, I don't need a complete list of the reasons I hate being bitten. It sucks.
The 3 deadliest traps being bitten by a mosquito will,
Right. It's pretty simple. And when you have limited space, and again, this is why I love the 4x6 mindset of copywriting, is like, if I had to break this down and only fill one card, what's the most effective thing I can say here? And
I love that you got Dean on the podcast to dig into this one.
Yeah, it was really great. It's going to be great. And the other cool thing I want to point out that I took from the talk with Dean was this is a real warning. And consider, you talk about value, right? And people are always like, how can I push the envelope with the FTC and all this? The government agency who releases these, advisories about mosquito bites and how they carry disease would see this and go, thank you. This is all we're trying to get people to do, is like, clear your yard of mosquitoes. And if you do get bit and you do have these symptoms like rashes and headaches and stuff, don't blow it off. You need to get checked out. It could be bad.
Yeah.
And so how often can you put together an ad that's sort of a shocking news alert style ad and have it be something that the federal agencies would actually thank you for, right?
Right.
So, and
this isn't marketing. Now, this is the kind of advertising we want to see.
That's right. And isn't that our jobs, Brian, to please the agencies? Yeah. But so I asked Dean, I said, let me ask you, did you find the actual advisory after you came up with the concept, or was the concept a result of seeing the advisory? And he said, he found it after, but it was easy because he had done so much research about the effects of mosquito bites that it was already in his consciousness that, the government does try to get these, warnings out. And then when he wanted to narrow it down to this Stone Mountain, Georgia, 2 zip codes, that's when he went and found the specific advisory and legitimized his whole concept.
Yeah, and I love how it goes from read this straight into the local zip code, right? So it's going to be your zip code right there.
Just a simple little map thing. I mean,
where's your eye going to go? Exactly right.
Yeah, and you go, that's it. That's us.
That's me.
That's all you need. Nothing fancy. You could spend 6 hours on rights-free photostock.com or whatever. Instead, all you needed was a little screen grab of a Google map and you're done. Brilliant. Simplicity.
Really, really good point.
Okay, great.
What else was there in this thread? Anything else that I needed to show now?
No, I think that's the recap there.
Okay, so here they are.
Real quick, fun one.
Classic, really long, detailed reply from Dean. Of course.
Right. Exactly.
This is his whole entire response. So I'm glad you got him on the podcast. When does the podcast episode with Dean go live?
Good question. I don't know where we'll stack that one in. We've got 2 in the can now. We need to reset the gauge so we can take advantage of the 8-week window for getting into new and noteworthy. And then we're going to launch. I finally have about 6 or 7 in the can, so I feel confident. And thanks to Jonathan Rivera for hipping me to how to best launch a podcast. He's brilliant, by the way. Podcast Factory. If anybody's thinking of starting a podcast and needs help, he's got a great team over there. And James Clouser has been completely invaluable, obviously, to me, helping produce my podcast. So that will go live very soon. And so let's quickly dip into. Just love the before we were Chiefs thread. Really cool to see all the different talents. One of the fun things about being an entrepreneur, Brian, is that we're all of a certain age once we become accomplished. Look at that, dude. Is that
You're
hilarious?
very serious right there, Kevin. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what it looks like you're saying right there in that.
Well, I'm talking about the death of George Carlin, so I was pretty right that day. But I was definitely trying to channel Edward R. Murrow right there. And so this is me, with a ill-fitting sports coat and a borrowed tie, I'm sure. So
I love these, man. We talked about it just like 2 weeks before this happened. This whole thread happened. I was reminding you of how much I dug these way back in the day. Remember?
Yeah, way back. I remember, like posting some of these on Fortin's board, like way back.
Yeah.
So Ross is,
my man Ross, the DJ.
DJs, I love that. Max had some great viral videes that he created.
Who's that guy?
What's his product? Dude, I love that.
Great.
I mean, that's the hardcore rock and roll road dog right there.
That is freezing to death. It's about 5 degrees in Nashville, Tennessee, in the parking lot of LSI recording on Music Row in Nashville. Wow. And I am 25 in that photo, according to 12/10/95. So we're knee deep in it in the middle of recording, and I am freezing to death. And then apparently Ross thinks I look like Tom Cruise in Vampire. What is the name of this movie again?
Diary of a Vampire. Yeah,
Diary of a Vampire.
Dude, I mean, how does he come up in his mind that it's almost a dead on? That's hilarious.
It does kind of look like it.
It looks exactly like it.
And you're a dick, Ross. And so there's a recording there. Actually, what we were recording, I timed it so that this was the track from this trip. What we were recording there is in this thing. This is the first track that we recorded when we landed, and it's Michael Walker, if he's here, can appreciate. We walked in the studio, loaded in, set up, hit the button, and recorded this take of this song, the very first notes that we played for that whole session, which was a big and long, arduous one, but it's funny how that turned out. So anyway, that's there for anybody if they want to hear what we used to do once upon a time. And let's go, there was some great viral videos somewhere in here. Dan Ferrari had a great post, interesting story. Everybody shared. It's not just about comedy and music and stuff. There's Jeremy's great
Jeremy,
music.
Man,
shit,
what
right?
a voice, Yeah,
what a guy too, man. All good.
Great
so love that thread, and Jeremy's voice is unbelievable. What happened to him is criminal.
I know.
For those he's not here to tell his story, and I'll let him tell it better. But he lost the high end of his voice from a fog machine while performing live. He was a touring musician, and the fog one night just wrecked his throat for a long time. And it's really like your guitar player getting smashed in the hand with a hammer,
Right.
But he still sings great. I mean, he worries about it, but he shouldn't because he sounds fantastic still. Here's the viral video collection from Max.
That man, Max.
Yeah, man.
Love Max.
I love the exclamation point.
These are cool.
And lots of interesting stuff happening. And of course, Michael Walker. I did not know that he engineered on all of this stuff. I knew that he had engineered for Beatles' Love. Yeah. Maybe I'm telling his stories out of school, but too bad. He deserves the kudos. Pro's pro in our midst, and I can't wait to talk shop more with Michael. About Studio Rat days. But what a great idea for a thread, Kev. Everybody gets to see our previous life, right?
Yeah, so I'd like to see that keep going on. So if you've yet to post the throwback from your life, that's pretty cool. Gribby, let's see.
We got some questions coming in, guys. We'll get to you in the Q&A, so don't feel bad. We're not ignoring your questions, but we're just going to save them up and then hit them in a few minutes. So thank you for your comments. Keep the questions coming. All good. And
of course, so the most popular thread, of course, last week was the 4x6 training, which again, if for some reason anybody hasn't been through that, highly recommended. If you could, is this where all the cards are, Brian, in the same thread?
You bet.
Yeah, everybody was posting that. This is what I love about this. This is how we know it's effective.
Yes. Yeah, here's how it starts, right? So we're like, hey, post your cards. Is that where you said it? Love to see a picture of them.
Yeah.
And so it begins, right? And so then, starting right away, boom, Wendy posts hers, and that was the first one. That's when I thought, wow, okay, we did something
Yeah.
that's working here for people. And
Yeah.
that's where it began. That was the first one. Boy, my handwriting is horrible. Look at how nicely girls write and how
I know.
terrible you and I chicken scratch. You
I
know?
know.
And there's Ross. Ross followed right up. What was this, like a park? Where was he? In the
No, it looks like
office?
his desk probably, yeah.
There's a park bench one too somewhere.
Oh,
in
that
there.
was, yeah, Michael, yeah. Or Peter.
Can we zoom in on Ross's? No, we can't. But there we go. Ross is doing it. And Marcin, of course, hooks up the thing with like a super cool ring, right?
Yeah.
His is a ring of cards.
Super organized.
I think you put a link to it. There it is. You can get it in Staples.
Where's
the rest?
Buy your ring.
Right, here we go. Here's the park bench one. Is that
No,
it?
that's
No,
me.
this is
That's
you.
me, the coffee shop. Yep. And
What is this?
oh, you know what?
What
This
was
is
this
cool.
thing? This is
So
your
when
screen
you,
cap.
if you in Dropbox, open up the file, and there's a certain view where you can see all the yeah. And so I dug that as sort of a quick view of the overview of the whole formula.
Nice.
So that's kind of
We
cool.
we can make one of those for him. Where's the rest? This one never shows up. Sorry, Boyke McKay posted, and I can't see it for some reason. It looks busted to me.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
Everybody else talks about it, so I think you guys can see it, just not me. Here's Mark. Mark's doing the cards. Who else is doing the cards? There we go. It's Peter Michaels.
Peter Michaels, yeah.
Who did the park bench one. There we go. Look at them. They're working, and we love to see these. This is great. I mean, if everybody can keep posting them, using it, we all benefit from that, and us particularly because it's just so fun to see people.
Yeah, and I've been doing it in notebooks now. I keep my cards handy, and I just jam in a notebook with the headings. And man, it's incredible how easy it is to outline a sales letter with those.
It really is, man. It really is.
It goes from concept to there it is in front of you. You've got your outline done, your sort of your first draft, and you're off and running.
Yeah, the 4x6 is obviously getting a lot of attention both within the community and going forward because it's such a necessary component here for all the stuff that we've been talking about and doing over the last year, right?
Yeah.
It's the culmination of a lot of that stuff, but we've got a lot to come still. You and I are scheming and
yes.
Conspiring quietly on some pretty amazing things that we will talk about when we can soon. But,
yes, but
definitely going to go a lot deeper with this with everybody because that seems to be the natural next step. So let's talk about the podcast again for a minute because that's probably coming sooner than anything else, right?
Yeah, that'll be launching here in June. And, and then everybody who participated in the Bullet the Podcast, this is for Psych Insights with John.
Right. Sorry. My bad. This is for the new episode, which is live, as a matter of fact.
That's right. Thanks to you.
Go to it.
You're great producing here.
Let's pop that open for everybody. On story. There we are. And
it's a great episode.
The link. It is, man. I mean, anytime you can corner John Carlton to talk about telling stories.
I know. What a
buckle
privilege.
Up.
What a privilege.
Buckle up. And what you guys talked about is one of the other things that people don't know is how much of a great storyteller Stan is. And
right.
There's a flavor of it you get in there, and which is all true, too. I mean, I love the way John tells how Stan tells stories because those are the Stan stories. I was in Belarus and getting chased down a mountain by a herd of goats, and it really happened.
Right. Yeah, he's an adventurer for sure. Yeah,
and tells John, great stories.
John talked about how storytellers are always writing the story in their head, even as it's happening to them. They're, grabbing snapshots and editing as they go, and putting ironies together and coincidences, and that's the mark of a great storyteller. It's just the editor is always there, working their magic.
That's it.
I want to commend everyone who dove in and contributed some bullets to this. If anybody hasn't seen this, what I've been doing is when a new podcast is going live. And maybe I'll do this with some episodes of mine, like the Dean Jackson one, where I put out the recording early and allow anyone who wants to bullet and timestamp it. And it's a great exercise in bullet writing. And we got some great submissions this time from Dan and Robert Youngblood and Esteban, and it was really cool. And then so Ross, who is become like the resident bullet master, he's been
Mhm.
blowing me away with his bullet work on some projects he and I are working on, and plus his ability to timestamp these. So Ross and I took all these into a Word doc, and we both just kind of went through together in real time and started polishing up and editing some. And then we just, posted up the results of some of our edits so that we could turn them into a quick little class in bullet writing. Some of the
Man,
ones that,
this thread took off since I read it last. See,
yeah, so,
I didn't even see like there was a whole second page now and a
yeah, yeah.
whole
You
thing,
know,
man.
what I love about it? It's an open conversation. This is how writers work, right? We, from the original submissions, which is any first draft, to Ross and I going behind closed doors and going, okay, what do we got here? Let's take the inspiration. How can we improve this? And then
Yeah.
sort of reporting back, now gathering back with the original writers and going, hey guys, what do you think? Do you agree with our changes? There's one bullet here that Dan took me to task about, and I loved it because he's completely right. It's a shit bullet, and
A shit bullet. That's
it's
what
a
this thing needs. It needs a shit
shit
bullet.
bullet right here. And Paul, oh, nobody has their kids in their room. I'm always conscious of that.
Yes, you know what? It's a daytime show.
Yeah,
You're right.
we should call it the headphones, the headphone alert. But
I can't help myself.
anyway, so I love that. That's what writers do. They go, yeah, you know what? You're right. Well, I was pushing it there, and you're right. It should have just been thrown out. This is what writing is, and this is, you got to get over yourself if you're nervous about being exposed or you're apprehensive. The only way to get better is to hang it out there and take the criticism. It's an evolving process. I'll tell you what, it's nerve wracking enough to turn copy into a client. Your first like 10 times you hit send on a first draft of copy for your client's approval is, you know, a very stressful moment and a long wait to give some feedback. But the first time I had to turn copy into John Carlton for one of his projects, let me tell you, that's a long pace around the desk until until you get some kind of word back. But
Hmm.
I actually got to the point where I could sit in a room next to John and brainstorm copy. And as intimidating as that was, now it's nothing. It's like
Well, and
anything you.
also, how great is John about being corrected or better ideas?
Oh
The
man,
best,
he
the
that's
best. Like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's perfect. That's what collaboration
yeah,
is.
and
The
that's what you
best of
learn
everybody.
from you. You learn that okay, I had to. This guy didn't bite my head off, which John is famous for, which was what made it so scary. That
Right.
literally
But
make
even those are
you
great
cry.
because I mean, I personally don't mind getting my uh, back cracked by criticism from
Yeah,
people,
for
because
people you
especially
respect.
when
Yeah,
it's, yeah, well, even when it's like beat down. I love the beat down. I came up in an apprentice age, as a studio rat where you got made fun of. You were the runner at the studio. It was like, oh, what are you doing out there? Are you still miking those drums? What are you doing? And you had to take that kind of beat
yeah,
down to earn your way into the studio. Suddenly, then you got to load tape. Then you got to maybe punch vocals. Then you got a credit on the album. You know what
right.
I'm saying? And so
Yeah,
you earned your way there. If you couldn't hack the beatdowns from the elders, you never got to earn your way into the space. So I never take it personally. I even enjoy it. I can laugh at myself that way. But for a lot of
right.
people, it's hard,
It's
man.
really
They
hard. Yeah,
feel like their whole ego has been crushed.
yeah,
But
and that's the whole
it's
thing
not
is
meant that way. It's
no,
not meant
and
that
you know what?
way.
Here's the truth of it. You'll never be a writer if you think the one thing you're proud of, you're afraid to expose it because other people might not agree that it's your best work. If you're hanging on to one thing that you might, it's so fragile to you that if someone were to criticize it, that your entire confidence would shatter. about writing, you're just not a writer. Like you have to get past that if you really want to call yourself a writer or
Right.
anything, a musician, anything you're passionate about, anything that's open for judgment. If you're a painter or something and you want to just hide your work because it's personal to you and you don't really care what other people think because you just enjoy the art, the indulgence of painting, do that. That's cool. But if you
Yeah.
want to be a freelancer, if you want to have a career in this, it is half science and it's half art. And the other thing you learn, Brian, as you allow yourself to be criticized is you don't have to agree with all the criticisms. And
No, and
that's
sometimes it's bullshit.
sometimes
Sometimes it's wrong.
sometimes you get this instinctual feeling. You go, I can see where you're coming from. I don't agree with you. And so now I'm solidified a little bit more of who I am as a writer by not
Yep.
agreeing with the criticism.
That's
And
it.
so, but unless you go through that process, you just simply cannot grow. For me, it was script writing. When I got out to Hollywood and
Hmm.
feet to the fire, somebody said we need to see a spec script. I didn't even know what that was.
Right, right, right.
Learned like in a weekend how to write a TV sitcom script, and I didn't care. By the end of it, I enjoyed the process so much that I just wanted any criticism I could get. And I think that's the mark of a writer when you go, I love this so much. I know I'll be writing forever, so I don't care if somebody doesn't like it or if somebody wants to, kick me in the teeth about it. If it makes me better, it's still fun.
It's like the old Doritos slogan: "Crunch all you want, we'll make more."
I guess it's like that. Yeah.
Because ultimately, it's just some words, It's just some
Yeah, they're
writing. It's
free.
just some
Words are
music.
free.
It's just some music. It's just some copy, and it ain't the last copy you're gonna write, and it's not the best copy you're gonna write, and it's not the worst copy you've ever
So,
written. It's just some copy. So
so,
get over it,
so these guys that put themselves out there and took the challenge, I tip of the hat to you. These are real writers. And
Yeah.
anybody who hesitated because you didn't want to be judged, look, I just want to point out, Copy Chief will always be a cool place. No one is ever going to attack you or make you feel stupid or take advantage of your vulnerability in here.
Right.
They won't be here the next day. It's not going to happen. And it doesn't mean that we're going to pussyfoot around each other and walk on eggshells and constantly, speak in woo-woo talk. We're writers. We're people who live dark lives sometimes, but it doesn't mean we have to abuse each other, and I won't allow it. So, please don't be afraid to contribute. It's critical to your growth. So that's that, man. Good stuff. Let me just go ahead and keep on bragging about a few more Chiefs because, Brian, I'm just like a proud parent with this community.
Well,
And
you've earned the part where we get to talk about community. Now you can talk about community.
all right, fair.
It's always on you. Right. Okay.
All
So
right,
now it's
so I'll go fast. I just want to, and there's probably this list could go on, but I just like to point out some people who are using Copy Chief to all its potential, because that's what makes it a community. I want to mention Melanie Saladino. She's just an amazing copywriter. She's a really bright businesswoman, and she's just been on fire. And every client she works with sends me love letters about what it's like to work with her. Because she really digs in and she puts a lot of thought into what she writes, and talk about being able to take criticism and do stuff over. She's for the greater good of the project. And she just finished up a project with yet another client. She met another in Copy Chief, another member, Jay, and they're both really proud of the work. It looks great.
And of course, Melanie did all that great work with Wardy in the early days
She's
of the
still
site
working
as
with
well.
Wardy. Still working with
Right.
Wardy.
So
Yep,
just
regularly.
so everybody's on the same page, that all the
Yep.
Wardy stuff was Melanie.
It was Melanie, and Wardy's the first to brag about Melanie. And so I just want to point out kudos to Melanie. A newer member, Chris Orzinchowski, doing what I love what new copywriters who are hungry do. They come to me and they say, Kev, all right, here I am. How do I make the most of this? And I say to them, you want to stand out, you want to get great, and you want to get attention from prospects. Go give great feedback. I can't express that enough. If you want leads from Copy Chief, go into that feedback section, even if on old threads, because here's what happens. The person you're giving feedback to and suggestions to may not be the one to hire you, but I promise you a lot of clients, potential clients, are lurking in those threads, because when they come to me at conferences and other places and say, hey, I hear you've got this awesome community of copywriters. How do I use that to find one? I say, here's how. You go in, you post up some copy for review, you see who resonates with you, and then you PM that person. I don't need to know if you connect with somebody. I love hearing about it, but there's hundreds of jobs that get made, and deals that get made in Copy Chief that I know nothing about. People come up to me all the time, writers and members who are business owners, and go, hey, I just want to thank you because I met so-and-so and we've been working together. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I had no idea that was happening, but I couldn't be happier that you guys are happy together. So that's what, Copy Chief is. And if you want to get the most out of it,
demonstrate your mastery.
Demonstrate
your mastery. There's no better sales job in the world than demonstration of your mastery of the topic. That is what they're looking to find out. If when you've demonstrated that you know what they're looking for, they want you. Done.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And so Chris, hats off to you, my brother. You've been in so many threads, leaving thoughtful feedback, and allows me to get a better sense of how you think and where you're at, and who's going to be top of mind when somebody says who's a hot new copywriter. It's the people who are active and then they're kicking ass. Ross Bowring's doing something really cool. And again, this is what I love about this business. When we follow our passion and we go, not let me do what I think's going to make me the most money tomorrow or whatever. What do I really enjoy doing? What do I seem to have a natural ability for? And Ross found it with making these, sort of emotional case study videos that he's been making for his dog bed niche product, the Big Barker. And he's now making a business out of it. And he very generously offered to do one for Copy Chief. So he's been working with Wardy on one of these awesome videos. And I can't wait to see it. And I know Wardy's been really impressed with the process of working with Ross.
Well, Ross is brilliant. I've punched Ross in the stomach before, as he knows. By his request. He's one of those P90X tree trunk kind of guys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he demanded that I punch him in the stomach, which I punched like a wuss. I was just like, eh. But then I realized, oh, no, I really could punch him. He's like a tree trunk.
I hope he asked me that.
He's a great guy. Worked very closely, like you, Kev, with Vin Montello for years.
Yeah.
And our old pal Vinny. And Vin knows how to train copywriters, and Ross knows how to get the most out of the mentors and people that he works with. He's just a great guy, and he's a sponge. And I'm thrilled that he's doing this gig now with this dog bed company, because it really lets Ross stretch out and do some great work long term. I'm very excited for the upside on that. That project, and his new video thing is great news to me. I haven't talked to him about it. So
yeah, I think it's going to
big endorsement for my man Ross Bowring. I've spent good quality airtime with Ross.
Yeah, he's a funny guy too. Talk about dry. What a dry sense of humor.
He's got that Brit humor.
Yeah, and everyone should go, I think he just busted my balls. I'm pretty sure.
I believe that he has in fact busted my balls.
The other Ross, Tower of Ross O'Loughlin.
The Tower of Ross.
Ross is, again, one of these guys that when we opened this thing 10 months ago, Brian, Ross was an immediate standout, and he's only impressed me more day after day, month after month. And I'm proud to say that Ross has been helping me with the marketing of Copy Chief behind the scenes.
On the team,
and just
I've seen it,
blowing me away with how smart he is, his work ethic. I couldn't be
very capable dude. Very capable.
And I think, I can't say enough.
I don't throw that word around lightly. You know that. I mean, that's kind of my thing. Is capable, right? That's like a very different word than good or great or talented.
Yeah. Someone like you that you can go to and go, this guy's going to give me the right answer, or he's going to go find it, and I'm going to be smarter for having this conversation every time.
Right on.
Jody Rainsford is been helping me also with email.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, what a relief it is to have that help. And Jody is an amazing writer and copywriter, but spent years as a journalist, so knows how to write fast, meet a deadline. And Jody's contributed many emails that you guys have been seeing in your inbox. So if you've been impressed with my email writing lately, Jody plays a big part in that. And he's also now the editorial manager of managing editor, as it were, of Copy Chief, the blog, and we've got some really cool stuff planned. So.
Yeah, all of it's going to be tied together and integrated for just mass consumption, right? You've got the podcast coming. You've got the blog that's firing up and continuing to get great guest posts and great content from other chiefs who, opportunity. If you've never heard it knocking before, you're hearing it right now, by the way, chieftains.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right, is that I love being able to share what we're doing because it benefits everybody. It makes us all smarter marketers. I'm the first guy to say, I don't know, somebody please teach me. And there's a lot that covers. And so we're all learning together. And I feel like this is all our project. It's a community. I want to serve everybody, who in their individual ways. But I think as a community, as a crew, we're all learning by how we shape Copy Chief and how we contribute to its growth. And, it's never had a proper marketing machine until now. It's being built, drywall is up. We're just painting now. The open house on the actual Copy Chief marketing funnel will be coming very soon. And it's going to be, I'm really proud of it. It's going to be killer. And we're all going to see the numbers. Much like John Lee Dumas does with Entrepreneur. I don't know that I'll be sharing, monthly income reports like those guys do. I think there's danger in that in some respects, but I'll certainly be showing conversion rates and those sort of things. So we'll all be learning in real time together. And
right
and finally, just Marcin, who everybody knows. Marcin, he's the ambassador to the community.
He's the heartbeat of Copy Chief.
He is, and all this cool new stuff you're seeing, like this new profile post on the right and recent post on the right column there, Brian, if you scroll down a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I got my questions open. Hold on. Yeah, there you go. New profile posts and
above that is I really dig this recent. I don't know why new profile post is showing up first. It's usually recent posts, but yeah.
I get it right there. I get recent posts right out of the form thing. And then I pop that open, and that gives us all the recent posts, not just new, but recent, which is distinct and different. And
you'll see that we've got the resources tab at the top. I don't know if everybody sees that or just the beta testers, but anyway, we're constantly thinking of ways.
Let's give them a peek.
Yeah, look at this. So this is.
I don't know if they can see this or not. I have no idea, but we're working behind.
No, they can't see this. This is new stuff. Yeah, so all those buttons at the top are sort of useless, so we're trying to figure out how to get rid of those. But like things like training, which there's a ton of, we're going to condense and make it easier to search and separate the discussion from the actual, training video, that kind of stuff. So Marcin's always working tirelessly to improve the functionality of the site, and just want to point that out. So anyway,
tirelessly, man. I mean, and if something's a problem, he won't give up on it, even though it's a personal pain in his ass to do, just because he can't stand knowing that this has not been.
Yeah, he's really. I know he's like really taking. I got to tell him, dude, go to bed. Just go to bed. I don't need another screen.
He cannot accept defeat. He will not be defeated by technology.
So, and Gerald, last thing, I feel like
Gerald.
It's an award show here, but Gerald has been making, with your tutelage, of course, hats off to you always, Brian, but you helped Gerald McClouditize some killer new documents, and man, did he pull it off, which is
he did. I thought I was looking at my own stuff, which was really quite cool. And Gerald's really done a great job taking some of this content, helping condense down the trainings, getting transcripts made, new documents made, and stuff that's all forthcoming soon enough. It will be very exciting to everybody, and make consuming and using all of this as deep as you want to go or as quick as you can make it. Whichever is most useful to you at any given moment.
Yeah.
We're giving you both of those options and a lot more. soon, soon, soon. So should we open up the doors
Yes,
for
please.
conversation, Kev? It's 1:58. We got right at the hour mark. I think is probably a good time to
Yep.
to jump in and mention. Oh, Gerald's on the call. Hey, Gerald. Hey, great job, dude. Great job, really. I mean, the emails, were curt and quick, and yeah, man, good job, good going. But really, got to tell you that was impressive work that you turned around very quickly. So let's go back up to the top here, Kev. We'll ignore Dr. Rosen's question. That was Eric Stafford, by the way, coming in to be a wise ass as usual. All good from those folks. Where do we get into the questions?
And if you guys have been holding on to questions, let them rip now.
Now's the time, yeah.
We can even open your mic if you want to come on the mic.
Wendy says she's guilty of being in PJs at midday and in the flow and on Saturday. Right on. So we're all birds of the same feather that way. It's easy to lose your day just being busy and getting work done, especially if you're writing. And you know what? I mean, I got to tell you, I come from a creative songwriting musical background where everything takes a back seat to creation and creativity. Literally everything goes. If the red light is on, if you're in the studio, if you're recording or you're writing songs, like the phones don't get answered, emails don't get looked at, you're creating. And I think there is value in that for what we do for a living. When you're in the zone and it's really working, go for it, do that, and then give yourself time to unwind on the other side of that. You got to breathe in and exhale too.
Yeah,
it can't all be breaths.
Right.
Okay. Some of these others are just comments.
There's some funny comments. Aaron Crocker says, we're talking about Jeremy singing. He says, I've always envied those who could sing. The last time I sang in church, 3 people backslid. Dude, can I relate to that, man? Oh, yeah. I kill myself in the car. I'm like, God, would you stop singing so you can enjoy this song? Nope, he's going to.
Max, well, again, Kev, the car singing videos you must continue to do.
Yeah, I can't help it.
I don't care if anybody else likes them, which, of course, hundreds of people are liking them. But I love them. They're funny as hell to me. So just make them and I'll watch them, and that's good enough. Max wants to know if you and I have office hours, quote unquote, which I have a complicated yes and no answer in that I don't have traditional office hours, but I do have a lot of boundaries around my time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. I do have office hours, but it's currently split up between home and my office here, which is good in some ways, but I think I'm going to change my schedule yet again to try to make my full workday exist only in the office.
Yeah.
And just really not work at home at all.
Except your own stuff that you feel like working on and nothing you have to do.
Right, exactly.
Right on. Yeah, I love that. And for me, I don't keep traditional office hours in that it depends on what I'm working on. My availability is what it is when it is, and that's by choice. I have the freedom to do that. I have the ability to set that standard for myself, but like I said, I have boundaries around that. It doesn't mean I'm available anytime. It means that I can make myself available whenever I want to make myself available and unavailable whenever I want to be unavailable.
On that note, I'm going to point out a calendar will save your life, even if you don't have a ton of appointments to make. Like just having a link to a calendar where somebody says, hey, can we get on the phone? And you just shoot them a link to your calendar and say, yeah, book it here. It's a great way to show people that your time is important. And it frames, so if they go, hey, when they log in, it's a 15-minute call. They know that they're not just going to sit and yak at you and, pick your brain, which is a terrible thing to ask somebody. Can I pick your brain?
I know, right? Hey, I just wanted to pick your brain. Quick question. Quick question has never been a quick question.
There's no such
and
thing.
I've answered 100,000 of them in the last 2 decades.
I want to point out a cool new calendar. I want to say it's called Calendly. I want to say
Calendly. Yeah, like calendar, Calendly, L-Y.
Yeah, you know what? I'm always impressed when I sign up for something so instinctually. I saw it because I signed up to do Ryan Lee's podcast and he was using it. It was so easy to use. I was like, what is this? And then brilliantly, they had a little button that says, use Calendly for yourself. And I was like, okay, I will. And I guess it's from Google, and I was signed up with it in like 3 minutes flat. And I love it. It's so much more simple and instinctual than the ones I've been paying for, like Schedule Once or Time Trade, all these
I
other
haven't
ones.
liked any of them.
Me either.
I have tried all of them and
Yeah,
abandoned
me
all of
too.
them.
They're just
And I thought the
annoying.
problem was me, you know what I
No,
mean? But it's
no,
really
it's
not. It's just none of them really do what I need any of them to do
yeah.
effectively.
I think this Calendly, you should try it. I think you'll dig it.
I think I did set up a free account with them at somebody else's suggestion a couple of months ago. But again, my calendaring is mostly by, I look at my calendar. I, of course, keep a calendar also. You must. If not only to get a visual representation of what your availability really is.
Yeah,
When someone says, hey, let's get together, you say, okay, hold on. And I pull up my calendar and I look at when I'm doing stuff and when I'm booked. And then decide, well, how about Thursday? And Kevin, you and I book time. When we have to talk about stuff, we don't just call each other whenever, although we sometimes do. But when we're trying to have a serious work conversation, we book time on the calendar like anybody else
right.
to do that just
Because
between
it's the
us.
only way to make it really happen. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a casual thing that you might blow off, and you go, no, it's on the calendar. I have to respect it.
Yep, exactly.
How many times do you go back and forth with somebody going, yeah, we should chat. How's next like Thursday? Yeah, it's not bad. That conversation never happens. You shoot somebody this link and go, yeah, book it, and I'll be there. They show up and you show up.
Yep,
So
exactly.
Calendly is pretty cool. All right. Any other question? Oh, Joshua Lee is here. How cool is that? Joshua, man, so cool to have you. Man, Josh is one of the guys who was in my think tank in Austin, and what a brilliant guy. Another
Cool.
guy, kind of like Dean Jackson, who lives a very friction-free life. We were at a bar after the think tank, and we needed books delivered before the talk that night, and he's like, you know, on it. He's like, I have an app for that. And he's like, he has somebody driving to the bookstore, buying the books and delivering them to the bar so that we never had to leave and go worry about it. I was like, yes, that's an entrepreneur on fire right there. So cool to have Josh here.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you're not from Austin, dude. If you are, sorry, what a shit week it's been in Austin. And frankly, have we talked to David Rabel, Kev,
I
since
have, yeah,
this
I talked to him
flood?
yesterday.
See,
Yeah,
he's all right, right?
yeah,
Pflugerville was hit kind of bad.
yeah. It was nasty stuff, and that whole.
Wembley looks to be completely like demolished.
Mm,
So it's bad scene for some marketers that we all know living in Wembley. I hope they're okay. I haven't tried to reach out to any of them because the last thing they need is to console me about their being okay in the middle of all of that.
right.
So I'm just
Yeah.
hopeful that everybody's cool in the
That's
Austin
terrible.
area.
Yeah,
I
I've
know
spent
that's an
I've
Austin
spent
folks.
some good time in Wimberley working with. That's where Dr. Joe Vitale lives. That's where we
Yep.
shot those videos with him. So,
hmm
mm,
Exactly. A little bit crazy. Hey, there's a private question if it's all right for me to just address because we got some crossover here between FEC people and copy
hmm
chief. And, the question came up, hey, where's Garfinkel these days? Because, we're not doing the live trainings monthly for fast effective copy anymore. Mostly because Jedi is just really busy. He's been consulting a lot with a lot of big publishers, and he's teaching the simple writing system right now under Carlton's new program that just started. So he's got a lot going on, and we elected with 40 some odd live trainings in the archives to let it ride and just do trainings when we have a specific training that we want to do rather than just try and create one every month for the sake of having a new one. And everybody seems to be fine with that, and that's where he is. He's fine. He's doing great, actually. Very, very busy and sharing his wisdom with the smart direct mail giants at the moment.
yeah.
So all good. Thanks for asking, by the way.
So Robert Youngblood is asking a question, but as is typical with a Robert Youngblood question, which is always deep and profound, but at first glance, I don't understand it. And I love you, Robert, for this, but trying to understand. So he's asking, how do you market yourselves? And then this is active, passive, autoresponder, semi-passive. So if you could just unpack that a little bit.
I think I know what he means,
Okay.
Kev, which is, are we actively out there running ads, pushing forward, pushing rather than pull, Are
I
we
see.
actively pushing outward to bring in clients? Are we doing some kind of like automated autoresponder, like they sign up for a list and get a little sequence?
Got
Are we
it.
doing some kind of semi-passive? And the answer is probably mostly passive. I'm not doing any active marketing. Most of my clients and most of my work comes through referrals and existing relationships,
Yeah.
largely. But you always need to have a way for new people to come into your world. So there's quite a few little side doors out there where you can get into mine.
That's a good point. With freelancers, I'll answer for myself in a minute, but this is, what I have a small mastermind group of mostly freelance copywriters where I help them grow their business. And the one thing I'm constantly preaching and holding them accountable to is having some sort of, active yet automated campaign going. When people ask how have I, had a 10-year career and all this stuff, the only thing I can say for sure, because, let's be honest, as a freelancer, you're not necessarily running metrics on your own marketing, right? It does end up being
you're doing a terrible job at it usually. If you're like most people, you're marketing yourself like the worst client you've ever had in your life, like to slap the hell out of.
Right. And it's, if you're fortunate enough to catch the jet stream and get some great word of mouth, and, I always judged it on, okay, my rates are going up and my client roster is improving, and this is good. So let's just keep going. But there were certainly times where I got caught by that, and there would be a dip, and suddenly you'd panic and go, oh no, I think I just fell off the face of the earth. Nobody knows me anymore.
No one cares about me. No one loves me.
They're saying bad stuff. Like, what's going on? And every time that would happen, I'd kick myself for not spending, that bend settle first hour of the day on my own stuff, having something going on. But the one thing I always did pretty well is what I call staying in the conversation, right?
Right.
Just be in the conversation, be networking enough, go shake hands, do at least a blog post a week, make a little noise on Facebook if you can, get people talking about you, be on the tip of enough people's tongue that are out there in networking so that people are hearing your name, because it's sort of immeasurable with an exact statistic, but I know that just about every client who's ever come to me has said, yeah, I've been hearing about you for a while and I thought it was time we talked. Right?
You got it.
And so
you got it.
That's my best answer, Robert, is because you know what? In the beginning, you'll swear no one's listening and nobody cares and it's all for naught. But I promise you, you're someone's paying attention, and you'll see your email list slowly grow and build, and it just happens. You'll
never question it again the first time someone pulls up a relic from the past and hands you a bunch of money because of it. You'll be like, okay, you know what? I don't care if anybody's clapping. I'm publishing, I'm talking, I'm participating, I'm out in the conversation, in the stream, because that is exactly how it happens. Like, oh, I read this thing, and they'll reference something like, oh my God, I wrote that a year and a half ago. I can't believe this is how I met this guy. But that's how it happens a lot of times. It's just being in the conversation, like Kevin says, and having something interesting to say. And I find a lot of times people who are having trouble getting attention in the marketplace is because nothing that they're saying is interesting. You got to be interesting.
Yeah.
And Kevin, Kevin rose to prominence very quickly in his career. Why? Because Kevin's so goddamn good. You know what? You got to get good if you want to get attention. If you're not good yet, get good. That's where you spend your time.
Yeah.
Write, try, do, work. Continue to develop yourself, and the attention will come naturally as you just get good. Getting good opens all of those doors because people want to look smart by referring you. They want to say, when someone's like, hey, man, I need a copywriter, that person wants to look like a hero by going, you need Kevin Rogers. I worked with this guy, Kevin. This guy's brilliant. You need to talk to him. What does he get out of that? He gets the authority of having recommended this hot new copywriter and turned on his colleague too. It's what's in it for them to refer to you. What's in it for them to talk about you. You got to be good and interesting, and a lot of people fail at that because they're so focused on actively doing what we do for clients. Like, I need a squeeze page, and I got to get a video series, I need a 4-part mini course, and I got to get this autoresponder sequence done. You don't really need any of that when you get a phone call. Hey, Spike Humor told me to call you, Brian. He said you're the best. So listen, here's my direct marketing quandary.
Right.
And that conversation is just all that other shit, squeeze pages, none of that matters at all, right? The best business comes from that kind of word of mouth, and that comes from being good. So I don't know if that's a inspiring answer for people who are feeling a little insecure anyway, but I promise you, nobody who's here doesn't have the goods or the capability of getting to the
No.
goods. We're
You
a
know
very
what?
smart, quiet little group here.
And part of your job as an entrepreneur, and if you're a freelancer, then you are an entrepreneur, is you got to get over that. I've been talking to Michael Haig, who just did that great webinar with Andre Chaperon. He's the
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood story consultant, and Michael's got a cool book. I didn't even know this, but it's called "Selling Your Story in 60 Seconds." Isn't that funny? And
Oh, no shit.
yeah, and he's teaching screenwriters how to get the meeting, right? To get their script read.
So
And
like the reality show openers that we've been talking about, like he teaches people how to write those, right? The little opener for the show.
yeah,
And
pretty much, yeah.
love it.
Yeah, pretty much,
I gotta
yeah.
check this guy's stuff out.
It's really cool. Michael Haig, Hauge. And, so I've been, something that Michael says in the introduction to this book, I thought, boy, that's so true for copywriters too. He says, if you're a writer or filmmaker who wants to connect with an audience, who wants to touch as many people as you can with your work, you must devote time and energy to the marketing process, just as you do your craft. You can't remain the shy, withdrawn, introverted artist you'd probably like to be, which is why you became a writer in the first place. You've got to get your work read, which means you've got to put yourself out there in a positive, committed way and make people aware of your talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exactly what we're saying. And it's
right. And that goes across it's not just copywriting, right? Like that is true for musicians. That is true for writers. That is true for comics. That is true for authors. That is true for coaches. That is true for any expert or authority who is seeking the world to pay for your genius, right? I mean, that is just how it is. Not only do you have to be good, but you have to put yourself out to be found, to be dealt with,
Yep.
And I think we did a little bit of a disservice to Robert's question earlier in acting like, oh, I just, I have a couple of pages up, but I don't worry about it. It's all referral. Well, you obviously, you have to you need a website. You need a place for people to engage with you. If you don't have a site, create one. A lot of Garf's coaching students are instructed to immediately write a sales letter about themselves, in the process of getting better and find their own hook. Our friend Chris Wright is here today. He's the babyface assassin. Right, is his whole angle in his thing, right? Which is exactly the lesson in that. Differentiate yourself, be noticed, stand out, and tell your story in an engaging and unique way. It's just he's got like this 007 baby-faced assassin spy sort of thing happening, which is great. It's a lot better than saying, hey, I'm a lot older than I look, and I'm really serious about my copywriting career, right? Which way is the right way? So yeah.
And another Chris Haddad had a famous two-way spikes of death or doom or whatever they were. I think that was a Garf needling as well.
Yeah, and Chris used to put out lots of face talk videos, just sitting talking into the camera about whatever the hell. When I first met Chris, like 2008 or something, that was his trick. He would be at one of those co-op workplaces where he worked, where everybody like shared office.
That's right. I remember those, yeah.
And he just kind of jam into the camera because Chris can do that. Again, why? Because he's freaking good. Get good. And then you can just do this.
You have the confidence to do it, right? Yeah, and so last thing, let me run. I'm glad you brought it back to Robert because, how I recommend my, I'm gonna call them students, but the writers I work with do is you've got to have a lead magnet. You got to have something, and again, it's about being in the conversation, and it's about having a bat signal talent, right? So. For me, I became the hook guy, the story guy. For Melanie Saladino, she's the voice. How do you use your voice?
Chameleon. He's the voice chameleon.
Yeah, Alvin Silito is becoming the big idea guy, right? He wrote a great blog post this month on Copy Chief about the big idea. It was very well received.
Nice job, Alvin.
Alvin, yeah, great stuff. And And so, you could, of course, Scott McKinstry is another story guy, right? And
The
so
hook wrangler.
the hook wrangler, that's right.
But
And
see,
so,
I make these up on autopilot as a joke almost, but because it's important. I mean, I do it not just to be funny, sure, but also because it's how we like to package, categorize, and put things on a shelf. I need to know that Chris Wright is the baby-faced assassin. Oh, right, okay. It's like a book spine. I can pull that
yeah,
memory of him out and reference him. Right, Chris Wright, who's that? Oh, the baby-faced assassin guy. Right. Who's Alvin? He's the big idea guy. Right, got it. You need
exactly
to
right.
give people that ability to categorize you that way because there's so much info, crammed in our noggin that it's how we sort and filter. So make it easy on people. The old saying, the least you can do if you're asking somebody to do something you want them to do is not make them think about it. And so that's the truth. Give them what they need to put you front and center on their bookshelf and remember you and
Yeah.
look and pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, great stuff.
So
All right, this has been great, Brian. I want to keep it to 90 minutes. Everybody's hung in, so I hope that means everybody's been enjoying this. And give us a little yeah if this has been great. I hope you dig the format. Quick announcement. We didn't forgot to mention, Brian. This is about to become a weekly thing. Now,
boom.
it's going to happen in two ways. I will come on weekly and do this. We might try some different media, some different apps. We might try Join Me. I might even I cringe to say this, try Hangouts again, just because technically I hate them. But Brian may not be here every week because he's not obligated to be, and he's got a life and a business to run. But
Every time I can because I
but
love being
yeah,
here.
and every month I think you'll come on with me, right?
We're going to do one. We are absolutely committed to doing a monthly one, just like we've been doing. We'll continue to do these, big ones together. But right on a weekly basis, every Friday at 1 o'clock is going to be Chief Chat.
Yep, every Friday at 1 o'clock, Chief Chat. So this is a great thing if you want to follow up, and it'll be more of a direct Q&A. I won't spend as much time reviewing stuff, but on the monthly calls, I like the idea of going a little deeper into some of these threads. And Brian, we just have a great time together. You're genius on a mic. It's always a privilege to have you.
Dude, it's my most fun thing that we get to do. This is like it's like you go on tour so that you can play for 2 hours a night.
Right? Yeah.
We do everything else we do so that we can get together and just kind of do our thing. And the fact that we've got this great community of people who come and participate in it makes it literally the most fun thing that I do. So all good.
Great, good. So everybody seems to love the idea. That's great. And then I just want to close. Let's close with an open mic. Let's without a net here. Let's bring
We got
Max
a hand
on.
raised.
Yeah,
Let's bring Max on.
that
Hold on,
man.
Max. We're gonna open up your mic, buddy. Hold on 1 second. Let me.
And
If I
I'll
can
preface
get your
Max.
webinar to do what it's supposed to do.
Max is dedicating June to landing his first true copy gig, and he wants some advice on how to. He says start your copy hunt. Of course, locally he feels is too limiting to find the perfect client. So let's chat a minute with Max about.
Kev, can you right click on Max's name and unmute him? I can't get it to do it right now for some reason. Go to his name in the attendee list, and you should be able to right click on it. Or
I think I did it.
all right.
Hey,
There
Max.
he is.
Thanks. It's a
With
pleasure,
an
guys.
exclamation
Hey.
point. Yes.
That's all right. Good to meet you, man.
Yeah, it's great to hear your voices all the time, and now I can actually contribute mine. So thank you. You guys taught me a lot. And so I did get my first gig this past month. I did an email webinar campaign for someone. It went well. I think we converted in the 40th percentile. So it's cool, but I guess I undersell myself, and I'm like, I wasn't really focused on the writing as much as I was focused on brand strategy, which is what I do best. So this June, especially now that I'm a copy chief, I want to make sure I'm focused on developing my portfolio and focusing exclusively on copywriting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out what's that first step? How is it different from what I already do? And how do you get that client that understands copywriting and the value of it?
Right.
So is it like a Craigslist thing? Is it a job boards thing? Is it something that I don't know?
Right. Yeah. So
Great question.
great question.
Oh,
And
cool. Thank you.
so let me say it's definitely not a Craigslist thing. And it's
Okay.
definitely probably not an Odesk thing or whatever they're calling themselves.
Yeah, definitely not.
And hey, but you know what? There are gigs there. There's money there. It's the
Oh, okay.
shameless horror stage that John Carlton talks about in the freelance manual. It's no problem with doing that work when you've got to hustle and feed the baby and all that. But like you said, the crucial thing is to be in front of an audience who understands the value of copy. And,
Yes.
and I never, sometimes there's an instinct to want to say, gee, I bet I could create a new market by teaching this group of people how awesome what we do is, right? And then you'll
Yeah.
spend all this time and energy and go, you know what? They don't care because they don't get it and it seems weird to
Yep.
them. But
Especially if your sales letter for yourself is all about trying to explain the power of copywriting to
yeah,
people,
so
which
it's
is
like,
a very common
well,
rookie
because
mistake.
because the education doesn't end at the when they pay you money, it begins then, right? So now you have to like consult
Oh,
and babysit this person, and they're going to be nervous as hell to do a direct response thing if they've been doing a Groupon until then. It's just going to be foreign and freaky to them.
absolutely.
So local can be
Okay.
tough. So what I recommend is first of all choose a niche that you feel really strong in, and
Gotcha.
then what I like to do is just go target people who you know are running ads, right? So
Hmm.
identify your best prospects and then get in front of them, show that you're studying their work, and then reach out to them. And this is where, and this is what I love about this community is I don't have to preach this much because everybody has good sensibilities. But obviously, you don't want to kick their door in and go, "Hey, your ad sucks. Here's 10 ways I could make it better." And I was dumb enough to do that a couple of times in the beginning. I wasn't that harsh about it, but I look back now and I go, I was really miffed at how somebody could have not returned my call. Like the
Yeah, you
local.
just told them how ugly their baby was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what I've seen work very well is I'll give you a great example. There's a guy named I can't pronounce his last name, but his name's Will, and his site is CopyGrad, and he did a great breakdown of one of Ramit Sethi's um, email campaigns for a launch, right? And I think he just did it because he was passionate and he wanted to do a case study. But I know it got Ramit's attention. Like, there's no way you could write about a particular marketer and have them not find out about it. They all have egos. They all have Google alerts with their name, and so if you're doing something flattering to them, but that also shows your expertise, it's not going to be long before you hear from that person or someone on their staff. They're going to go, "Hey, this guy Max like really gets it, and he's already in tune with our stuff. Let's see."
And it's what they're all guys who are operating on that level are always wishing some awesome copywriter would drop into their lap from heaven and
Really?
solve
Okay.
their anxiety because there's all look at the jobs that have come out of Copy Chief from Ramit Sethi's camp,
Good point.
from who else, Kev? Ramit Sethi,
Derek Halpern
Derek
talked to
Halpern,
some
right?
writers.
Did Ryan run a campaign here and pull? I mean, some of the Copy Chiefs have gone to work with Ryan, so
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
some of that
I
somewhere
joined
in
Copy
there.
Chief
Oh,
because Ryan Johnson told me to catch
yeah,
up.
oh, right. And Bryce, found a copywriter here. Lots of people have, and Josh Ali is on the line. I should almost bring Josh on because that's one of the reasons Josh is a Copy Chief member because he needs copywriters, and so
Right on.
so the point is, I know like a guy like Josh is smart enough that if you were studying one of his businesses and how he markets, and you were writing intelligently about some of his campaigns, that he's going to reach out to you. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
Mm, okay.
so there's never been a better time to be a copywriter because it's so easy to get in front of your best prospects in an intelligent way without having to kiss ass or be weirdly aggressive. Just show how smart you are to the right people, and jobs will come quickly.
Yeah. and give them the means to get in touch. Give people a way to find you and a way to get a hold of you, and to the extent that you can make it easy for someone to do business with you, they will. It's the same with the easier you make it to buy, the more people will buy. Well, they're buying you as a copywriter, so how easy is it to buy you? For a lot of people, it's not easy, right? Like they haven't really thought through the whole sale process when it comes to themselves. They've got the positioning kind of right, but that mechanism through which people get in touch and get a hold of you and actually communicate with you can sometimes be tough to find. Like how do I take that next step? I don't really want to join his email list.
Right.
Like how do I like work with this guy rather than become a customer of this guy?
Yeah. So yeah, so Max, I feel we get excited, but tell me just a little bit more about who do you think your ideal prospect would be? Is there somebody in mind that you admire and go, man, it would be a dream to write for this person?
It would be a dream to write for Ramit Sethi, but I'm definitely not there yet, which is why I joined Copy Chief. I reached out to Ryan Johnson, and he's like, yeah, maybe you should learn some things. And I totally agree, but that's why I reached out for that advice. And so I would have to
how to get
list.
Attention, Max.
What was that?
You know how to get attention because you've created these viral videos, and attention is the first sale always of every direct response campaign. So
that's a good point.
You already have more experience than you think you do, because the hardest part is the part that you know how to do. The rest of it is the selling and the persuasion aspect of it. Now that you have their attention, you got to make your case, right? And your sales argument now has to be crafted. But the attention, if you don't get that, there's no case to make because they're not paying attention.
Yeah,
so don't lose track of what you've learned already. What you've learned already is perhaps what many people who've spent a decade learning the craft of copywriting have never quite cracked that first step that you've got kind of instinctively down. So think about that.
You know what? I'm going to give you a gimme too, Max. And I don't know, this may be uncool of me to do publicly, but I don't care. We're all chiefs here. There's a guy who joined Copy Chief specifically to find copywriters who have experience with crowdfunding. He's a filmmaker. His name's Jeff Hayes, and he's a documentary filmmaker. I recommend that you reach out to Jeff in a PM through Copy Chief. And if he doesn't respond, let me know, because I know that he needs help, but he's also very busy and it may not have time to vet writers the way I recommend, right? So if you're proactive with Jeff, I think that might lead to at least a fruitful conversation.
Okay. Then just to piggyback on all of this, so I meant this as a challenge to myself to do it in, 30 or 31 days in June. Mm-hmm. Is that realistic? Is that too much, or not too much? But
I think it's a great.
Tell us, is it realistic, Max?
It's realistic for other projects that I've done, but I don't know how the copywriting world works.
But it's still, so then it's realistic for this one. Yeah. You just don't know what to expect.
Well,
you've done it before. You've done it before with other stuff, but you've never done it with this.
You know what it is? I think you need to have a specific goal for that 30 days, right? So if you just say, okay, then you're with like law of attraction. You're trying to manifest something within 30, because I thought about it really hard. So I would say if my advice resonates with you, then starting June 1st, you give yourself 2 or 3 days to identify 5 people who you think would be your perfect prospect.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Don't disqualify yourself. Hey, you reached out to Ryan, you got honest feedback from Ryan, and that was really valuable. So now you need someone like Ramit who resonates with you, who's not quite as maybe advanced. Ramit is a very polished machine, right?
Oh man, yeah.
His email funnel alone, it's like a comprehensive system. It's not like MailChimp or whatever, where you just play and publish. So it's elaborate.
Yeah, you're right. And so those guys are looking for best of the best, and but find other people you dig and do what I'm saying. So the time frame is within 30 days, you're going to study some of their marketing and you're going to case study it, and then you're going to publish those case studies. And by the way, if one or two of those people happen to be members of Copy Chief, all the better, because now you've taken the chances of them seeing it and like almost guaranteed it. right? Because you can literally tag them in the post. And so like that's again the value of a smaller community. It's intimate. But even if they're not, you know, there's no shame in writing something cool and informative. You know, always be teaching. That's the other thing I preach. ABT, always be teaching. So if your only goal by taking a piece of marketing that you admire from a expert that you'd like to work with and breaking it down and teaching cool lessons to any business owner who could benefit from it, and you know, then maybe you'll get a little cool feedback on it, and now it's like a real thing. And then you send them a link and go, hey, by the way, I'm a big fan of your work. I actually did a case study recently about one of your ads. You might
dig it.
You might dig it. And that's it. And then, of course, how could they not click on it? It's like, hey, Bob, I saw your ex-wife yesterday, and she said some stuff. But you know what? I'll tell you that later. Whoa, wait a minute. You know, nobody can hear their name and not go read it, right? So I guarantee, if nothing else, if you take that approach, you could have a conversation with, you know, 3 of the 5 people you'd love to work with by the end of the month, undoubtedly.
Right.
No, that's brilliant.
So then the question becomes, what's your end game look like? Like in a perfect world, if you hit a home run with your goal for June, what does that look like at the end of June? What have you accomplished? What is the actual home run hit? Define that clearly for yourself.
Yeah.
You think what I'm saying? And do that every time you take a gig. That's one of the key questions I ask in the very beginning of working with any clients. What does a home run promotion look like for you? So they can tell you what the outcome is that they want. Like, what are we shooting for? What does a home run look like? Because it's, for one guy, it's $100,000 on this promo. For another, it's, I need this to be a 7-figure company this year. Whatever, those are very different goals. And, you know, it's not up to you to ferret that out. It's them to communicate it to you, but they won't unless you ask. So get specific with yourself, what your end game's like, what's a home run look like for you, and what's a home run look like for them. And then as you get further along in your career, you just want to make sure that both your home runs and theirs are congruent, right? Because otherwise you're working to make somebody else rich and not furthering your objectives and growing your goals. Right, and that's how you kind of fall down that path of, I'm sick of this, I'm getting burned out, I don't like what's going on, I can't raise my rates, blah, blah. That's an ugly path that you don't want to follow, right? Your end game and home run needs to continue to be right there next to theirs, and they need to keep lining up so that they serve each other, right?
Boy,
absolutely.
That is great advice, Brian. You know, because if you're measuring your success, you know, then you can look back and go, you know, I've achieved this goal. And like you said, if you start to feel a little tired and burned out, you can look back and go, wow, I remember when I was just dreaming of having one client like this. Now I've turned away 3. My calendar's full. Maybe I need to step it up. Maybe I need to raise my rates. Maybe I need to, you know, take the next challenge. And then you're always growing. And that's how it happens. And it can happen instinctually, but it's much better if you take what Brian's saying and think ahead. What is it I want out of this? You know, just step 1. Right now, you just want to get hired. You want to get paid. You want to get legitimized by somebody. That's perfect step 1. But like Brian said, what's the framework for that? Like, what does that even mean? What is the money? Know your price going in. You know, we all do this in the beginning. The worst thing you can say to somebody when they say, what's your price? You start to stutter and you go, well, it depends. Or normally it's this. You know, they're going, oh, God, this guy has no idea what he charges, you know. So, you know, all these things are what lead to good relationships and better confidence. And I'm sure a lot of this you have nailed. You're not a complete newbie here, but yeah.
But it's a good reminder always to remember. Every time someone asks you how much, it should hurt just a little to say. Right? You should be a little, because what's going to happen is you're going to be asking for what you want instead of what you think you can get or what they're going to want to pay. What you want and what you need and what you should be getting. And it should, you know, the first time you say to someone, $10,000, it's like time stops. Time completely stops while these words come out in slow motion. And the next time, the follow-up to that is the first time someone goes, okay, so should I write you a check or do I PayPal that or how do you want to handle that? And you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Why have I not been saying $10,000 all this time? How many? I can't believe I wrote all that other crap.
All right.
But to say it is like, oh, you know, I won't say you couldn't put a pin up, is the old colloquial phrase the first time you say it, and that's the way it should feel a little bit when you're really getting what you want and deserve out of the work that you're doing. You know, and when in the beginning, look, you got to take what you can get. You got to stack some victories and some wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you do now is not what you do forever. What you do now is what you do now to do what you want to do in 6 months and in 6 months and in 6 months. Yeah. So the main thing is stack wins, build that confidence. Pretty soon, your confidence in being able to do the job grows to the point where their confidence in hiring you happens easier because of just how you sound about what is going to happen. And it just makes the whole thing simpler over time.
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, you're a little bit afraid to take on the gigs, even when you get them. When someone offers you a gig, you're like, oh boy, I hope I didn't screw up. I better be able to. Oh man, I better deliver for this guy. I'm gonna look like an asshole. You know, my career's gonna be over. Kev, you've been there. We've been there, right? Where you take the gig and then you sweaty palm for a minute afterwards, like, oh, what did I do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Scary. Yeah.
It's
all part of it, and you know, nothing's gonna break. No one's gonna bleed. Everything's fine. So, I love it, man, and I'd love to see, you know, you talk about this process, and you know, let's identify some of these prospects for you. If you want to write me privately, Max, with your list, particularly of people inside Copy Chief, and say, you know, what do you think? Here's what I'm seeing about this person and why. I'll be happy to give you feedback on if what I know about them.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
There's some real good prospects inside. There are some really good prospects inside there who have posted quietly, and people I don't think realize the opportunities that have sometimes gone quietly, somewhat unnoticed, a little under the radar, right, Kevin? I mean, some of the people who've posted for critique, they don't fly the flag about who they are or what they're doing. They just hey guys, looking for some feedback on this. If you understood that you're talking about a 7-figure that month kind of situation, it changes the whole context of the conversation. So they don't talk about that. They just talk about the work, just the copy.
Yeah, right. And you know, if you go into Start Here and Copy Chief and say, you know, there's a little thread called Looking to Hire a Copywriter. This is how I tell my friends in new members who are looking to hire a writer how to do it. You know, see some people who resonate, click on their profile, click on their postings, and look through their postings to see if any of their stuff resonates with you personally or relates to your industry. And that's probably a writer you want to talk to, right? Yeah. So, you know, Copy Chief is an excellent marketing platform. All you have to do is keep doing what you're doing and go in there being cool and kicking ass. So, but now let's be a little more directed about it and see what we can accomplish. It'll be awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely share my experience, and yeah, I wanted to make it public on the forum so people could challenge me as well as give me insights that I didn't know that I needed.
I love it.
Yeah, but all this is great advice. I wasn't expecting to get all this, so thank you very much.
Hey, that's what you get when your name is Max. All right, I'm muting you up, buddy. Great talking to you.
All right, have a nice day, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, well, we got to meet Max. That was exciting, Kev.
That was a bonus, yeah.
That was fun, and I don't know how to take your hand down, so I'm not going to, but thanks for coming on and being brave and doing that. Guys, this is last call for questions. We're happy to take them, but it looks like it's mostly just nice comments. And hey, Marcin, it's good to see you here. Marcin says, it's important to shut up after you say 10K, too. Which, sales 101, don't talk yourself out of the sale.
Boy, what easy
to be 10,000.
Yeah.
$10,000. Now, by the way, the $10,000. Let's put that in perspective. $10,000 just doesn't. That's not good.
One of the hardest things in the world to do, I tell you.
Yeah, it really is. So, if you have any other questions, feel free to type them in. If not, we're going to put this one in the can. And I hope you guys like the new format. I thought this worked out really well, Kev. What about you?
Me too. Loved it. And to me, it's the best stuff. Getting to just talk almost sort of one-on-one. Small group like this. This is where, and then we'll post up this replay, and maybe I'll even have somebody VA or somebody kind of bullet out the big takeaways because we covered a lot of great stuff, and it's just better learning for all of us. So.
Hey, Gerald. Hey, Gerald, some new recordings coming your way. Right?
Yeah, right, Joe. Great. Put that on it.
Hey, McLeod eyes this, buddy. So this really has been fun. Great questions and comments, guys. If we missed you, I apologize. I think we missed Josh. Bellinger had a question about, not really a question, but just kind of a note about how he felt in the investing space and the competition and getting out there and marketing. Hopefully the rest of the conversation pointed out what you needed from that. And if not, Josh, come back next week, and let's do it. And make sure, as the course of the week goes, since this is now going to be weekly Chief Chat coming up starting June 5th, Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern every week, jot down your questions, make a note, grab one of those 4x6 cards and just make a quick note of the stuff you want to talk about and bring it to the call. I will be here where I can, when I can, as much as I can, because I love doing it, but we will definitely do one of these together every month. I guess at the end of the month we'll do a monthly wrap, right, Kev? That's what we talked about.
That's it. Yes. So this would be the big enchilada, the big monthly recap, a little more content heavy, and the weekly ones would be a little bit more like sort of straight to the Q&A, kind of like, "Yay, Chief is at your disposal. However I can help you," this kind of stuff. So
yeah, ask me anything.
Ask me anything. Kind of an AMA. Yep.
Right on. All right, boys and girls, this has been a fantastic live training, but we are going to put this one in the can and get out of here before the 2-hour mark today, because we've got to do it. So thanks for your questions. See you next time around, and look for the replay coming soon. I guess where we're gonna post it in somewhere where Marcin has got it tucked away. I'm not sure where Marcin's going to put this yet.
He'll want it moved wherever I put it. I can promise you that.
I guarantee you, wherever it goes, it's not going to be where it stays. So.
We love Marcin.
I love Marcin pieces. All right, guys.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Brian. See you, buddy.
Great session, buddy.
Yeah,
See you
really
next
appreciate
time.
it. All right, man. Bye.
Okay, everybody.